Mad Max is directed and written by George Miller and stars Mel Gibson as the titular character. Max Rockatansky is a cop that is out trying to find bad guys and live a good life with his wife and kid, all while a bike gang comes into town, wreaks havoc, and once Max has enough after a personal tragedy, he goes out and hunts down these guys in order to get to their boss and beat. My first ever experience to Mad Max was Mad Max Fury Road, and since then I watched some of these films a lot. Not as much anymore, I've been watching some other movies, but I've always enjoyed the Mad Max movies, and so revisiting them now in order to get to Furiosa, which I'm a bit late on, admittedly, so I could have helped out the box office for that one, but life. But Mad Max as a franchise has always been one of the most interesting in all of action because the movies are probably the most consistently good. At least one of the most consistently good of any action franchise I've seen. Starting with the first movie, I think this is a really good movie. Thought a great introduction to the character, having us get to know him and his life, see what this world was before it went to chaos, and how the wheels start to turn when certain people start to lose their mind and become rabid animals that are just out for blood. And this biker gang and their douchebag leader are really good adversaries in this story. They are disgusting, they are vile, violent, they have a code, they care for one another in a way, they respect many of their best men, and there's like a whole little cult-like thing to these characters that make them feel lived in. They feel like actual characters with something at stake, but also they are crazy. They are out of their mind, and you have no remorse for these characters, like, at all. And so once they start picking off Max Rockatansky's friends and family, we are scared. We've seen what they could do to other people, and you just want these characters to just come out of the situation okay. But this world is becoming hostile. It's becoming barren. The town is starting to feel dead. Not a lot of people are caring all that much for one another, and those who are too weak to fight against the people who are oppressing them. Not even the cops in this world are of use, or anyone in the legal system. We see that the wheels are turning to this apocalyptic wasteland that we will see in the Road Warrior, in Beyond Thunderdome, and especially in Fury Road. And Max Rockatansky is doing his damn best to try and maintain and control himself. His entire thing is that he might actually become one of the crazies. He might actually start to lose his mind like some other cops in his team are. Some are level-headed, but some are too into the action. They want the death. They want the excitement of destruction. And Max is in the middle of this conflict, and he doesn't know which side to turn. And so once that thing, you know what, I'm just going to spoil it here, so spoiler warning. Once his family eventually gets killed by this biker gang, the wheels turn just the right way to have him lose his mind, become as violent as everyone else. He has become Mad Max, and Mel Gibson does a really good job at portraying this role, both when he is becoming a good father, a loving husband, but once he enters the car and enters the action, you see a different side to him. A side that wants to be part of the action. We see a lot of shots of him just laying back while a lot of the action is going forward, and we are to assume that he's just too good for the job, or he is purposely trying to hold back because he doesn't want to go too far. And so the last 30 minutes are exactly what will happen once you turn the right switches on in Max's head, to where he just loses all control of himself and becomes a rageful vessel of destruction against these bikers. And it is glorious to see. George Miller does a great job at directing these action sequences. They are practical, filled with great stunt work. My only problems I really have with the movie is that it doesn't really age all that well in terms of the editing and music and audio. Sometimes the audio is good, but sometimes the music and sound effects in the background, like the ambience of the film, can overlap with the dialogue, and you cannot hear the dialogue as well. And there's a lot of editing choices which are purposefully done stylistically, but there are some cases where the editing just felt way too cheap, and I think that's due to the budget, the film being very low. But for the budget that they have, this feels like a movie that was made with $1 million, or two at least. This kind of action, stunt work, level of filmmaking is just really well done. This is a fantastic movie, technically. Maybe not dated all that well these days, but back then, this movie is very impressively done for what his budget allowed these filmmakers to do. And you have to commend George Miller to be able to pull off many of these great action sequences and practical effects and stunt work with what he's able to afford. All in all, Mad Max is a really entertaining film, a great start to this fantastic action franchise. It may not be an all-time best in the series, but it is definitely a really fun action film with a great story and a fantastic lead character. I'm gonna give Mad Max an A-. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys next time.